Pillars of Eternity continues. Welcome back, everyone, to more Pillars of Eternity. All right, everyone, we're back. Been a while. Last time we talked, COVID did not have the country, or the world, I should say, on lockdown, but definitely even more so the country. So let's jump right back into things. If I can remember. So we got our main quest here, and then White March looks pretty done, besides a couple Durgans. Have some bounties we need to take care of. But mainly we want to sacrifice, or focus on sacrificial bloodlines and the other quest here. Well, I can't imagine it being any more evil sacrificing a baby than anything else. An Olin baby lies in the crib, tiny and dark-furred. Though her eyes are closed with sleep, she squirms under the blanket and nuzzles the pillow. All right, we're snatching this baby. Beer? Sounds good to me.
Well? Laying low.
Ludoris's weapon is drawn and his eyes burn with anger. He looks more like his father than ever. I knew my father was a soulless beast, but you... Well, you told me from the beginning this is what you would do. I was just gonna take her someplace safe. Not a chance, Estremol. Oh, you gonna fucking die now? Alright, excuse me while I relearn the game. That I wasn't that great at in the beginning with anyways.
That ain't gonna work. Just like Mama taught me.
I didn't think they stood much of a chance. Alright, now we need to return to the blood sands up here with the baby. Which apparently is not a quest item, or maybe it is a quest item. Heard that, baby? This is the child of Widden, a Glanfathan Anumfath. Though usually calm and quiet for a baby, this is a healthy infant. It's managed to avoid the effects of the Waidwen legacy. And here we are about to sacrifice it?
You must gather your party before venturing forth.
I mean, I know you're low, Lug-Lug, but this is a whole new low. Uh-oh.
You have stayed true to our cause, Inquisitor, when so many others have not. For every heretic we confess, for every betrayer that burns on our pyres, new sheep continue to flock to Iavara ex Incios. But not you. I underestimated you in the beginning, but no longer.
You honor me, Grand Inquisitor!
It is not for honor that I summoned you today, but for duty. Too many of our own have confessed upon the wheel and the rack and the flame. Too many of our faithful have had their minds poisoned by the Kratom witch. The tide is against us now. We have but one option. Iavara's following must see her exposed for what she is. She must confess her heresy before my court.
How would we reach her?
Not in Kratom, surely. Their lord has embraced her heathen faith and protects her with his army. But in Oceanus, things would be different. The king of Oceanus is a sinful man. We have helped him to see the error of his ways, and now he fears for his soul. He would pay any price for absolution.
But how would we get to Iavara to move to Oceanus?
You have already done much for the Inquisition. I wouldn't ask this were there any other choice.
Two identical women seem to fade into view as they move away from the gray trees that camouflage them. Their skin is tree bark, rigid and scaly, wreathed in a curling tangle of roots, buds, and blooms. Their hair hangs beneath the shade of serrated leaves like the drooping branches of the elms above, and the pupils of their eyes are encircled by hundreds or even thousands of concentric rings, as if to mark the accumulated wisdom of millennium. The other stares at you unblinkingly as her frown deepens, her face creaks. Do you not feel it, sister? Something familiar. An ancient soul like the other one. Another defiler, no doubt. Let us fell him and be troubled no more. It would pay the debt of his predecessor.
So it would seem, Rhiannon. But we must not hasten to judgment. I see a different motive here. Different questions in these eyes.
What of it, young trespasser? Is it as my sister says? Or are you here to stain this place with foul deeds?
I'll gladly burn this place down, but I have more pressing concerns. Did I not tell you it was so, sister? We do the land a misdeed by not cutting this one down before he can join the other defiler. A diseased tree bodes ill for the grove.
Lacking in sense though he may be, we both know that he is here to find the man Theos Exarchanon. Nothing more. Really, sister? And you wonder why your leaves begin to fall out before midsummer. Clearly that man did not want to be followed. Whatever the relationship here, I suspect it is anything but cordial.
Sita turns back to face you.
The answer is yes, old one. We crossed paths with Theos not long ago, and we can tell you where he went. But I find it curious that anyone would seek him out. Suspicious, even. If we are to help you find him, we would know why.
He crossed me. I intend to get my revenge.
I like him better now, Shiva.
Indeed. A kindred spirit, it seems. But that's what this is really about, isn't it? You are tied to him.
Sita glances over to you, and then her expression changes as though seeing you for the first time.
I see it now. You are awakened. Your soul is awake, and something once buried deep now wells to the surface. Past overwhelms present, closes in around you. Your time has nearly reached its end.
Listen, bitches, I just need to get to Theos.
I am sorry to tell you this, but Theos cannot give you what you seek, nor can any man. An awakening cannot be undone, any more than your past can be undone.
What's she mean? I thought Merwold said, this is permanent? We did not come down this road together to be refused passage by a pair of talking saplings. So this has all been for nothing? I'm gonna lose my fucking mind.
The soul is formless without a past to shape it. Did you truly expect to be able to wipe it away?
That? Or kill the man who brought it up?
He is beyond forgiveness, for his deeds are beyond repair. Is that so? It would seem that way to me as well. But if that is true, then the two of you may be connected more closely than you realize. However, as much as my sister speaks truly that there is no way back from an awakening, there may yet be a way forward. Would you agree, Shiva?
I would. Were the way not so likely to end in death.
You underestimate me.
Or perhaps you underestimate your foe, Old One. Where your soul is renewed in its ignorance in each span of your life, his only grows in cunning and resolve.
The man Theos you must already know by now. You are linked by a common past. Something about it lingers within you, festering, unresolved. What it is I cannot see any more than you. And without that knowledge, your doom is certain. But were you to learn the source of this discord, perhaps it could be put to rest. Though it is equally possible it will trouble you as much now as it did then, and merely speed your condition to its end.
My past comes to me in pieces. How do I unlock the rest?
You might wait for it to come on its own, of course. But when it comes, it will replace your sanity's last breath. Such is the nature of your condition.
Or you could learn it from someone who already knows.
Theos, would he remember?
It is said the gods made his memory perfect, that he may never forget his charge. If he ever knew, he still does.
Not that he would tell you, of course.
You have followed the right person for the wrong reason, it seems. We see it often beneath the elms. The soul dragging mind and body to unknown places for unfathomable reasons. You may have wandered into Theos's path many times, in many lifetimes, without an awakening to show you why.
The only thing that's certain is you did not find what you sought.
You said you know where he went.
He has gone down beneath the tower to a place older than we, where the people of Engwith once walked. He makes his way to the buried city, Sun and Shadow.
May he stay down there and rot with the remains of his people.
He may yet. He won't be returning the way he came, that much is certain. He opened a secret path in the tower's base, and saw it destroyed behind him through some vile means.
Is there another way to get to him?
We know of one. On the burial isle, through the court of the penitents, Braeth Yaman. A shortcut, in fact.
The way my sister speaks of is not for the faint of heart. A great pit at the center of a forgotten court, where faiths were judged in place of crimes. To most, it is simply a gateway to death. With the help of the gods, it can take you where you want to go.
I have to jump into a pit? What kind of shit is this? Some trick?
Oh, sister, if only we'd thought to trick Theos into jumping.
No trick, I'm afraid. Though without the proper preparations, the fall will certainly kill you. The pit is said to have been a means of judgment by the gods. Those cast into it are meant to die. It is that way you must pass to reach Sun and Shadow. The court is old. We do not know much for certain, but it would seem only the gods themselves can grant passage.
What is this court?
No more than a ruin now. It is older than we, a place for the trial of heretics. We were not here to witness it. But at one time there was a group that refused to acknowledge the gods. Neither the first nor the last, of course, but these were numerous and all put on trial for it. Those who did not repent were cast into the pit and imprisoned below. The fall killed them, of course. The prison was not for people but for their souls, and their sentences were eternal. It is said that many of the condemned repented and were permitted by the gods to ascend from the pit, so long as they pledged their service to one of them. But these are old legends.
How would I ever get the gods to help me?
Behind us is Ter Evron, said to pierce the shroud itself and a place of communion with all gods. If ever there was a time for prayer, you have found it.
So the only way to get through this pit is to pray for help?
Not the only way. Just the only one that doesn't end with your body impaled on jagged rocks.
Are you sure?
None.
How do I pray?
Ter Evron is also called the Hall of Stars, and the stars show us the allegiances of the gods. When stars are in conjunction, we know the gods they represent are aligned as well. You should choose a place to pray where you'll be closest to those you want to hear you. If a god stands alone, you should pray to that god. If they band together, you should address them all. Choose your words wisely, for all gods expect proper homage, and none has patience for fools.
Who would I pray to? Any god you can, I should think. Can I pray the gay away?
I would pray first to those gods you like best. I hope for your sake the feeling is shared. What do you wish to know?
How did you know I was pursuing Theos?
The same way that you are no doubt able to peer into the ether and experience the souls of others. It is something we are born with, some more, some less. A gift common to many creatures of the wilds. You share certain similarities with the man you pursue. For your sake, I pray they are few and of no consequence.
You mentioned that people come to these elms without knowing why. That's dumb. A soul has its will on its own. It needs the whims and are seldom understood, but they follow them all the same.
There is something about this place that reaches beyond our understanding, something like a beacon. The elms have a way of uniting souls that have been seeking one another, with or without their owner's awareness. Sometimes it is for love, sometimes for vengeance, sometimes for peace. Often it is for no reason we will ever know. In your case, let us hope it is for peace.
Or vengeance.
I want to know about the two of you.
There is little to be said about us, for we are bound here, caretakers and defenders of this place. Our journey has been over time, but not distance, measured in observations, but not experiences. We have seen the elms grow tall. We have seen cities built, burned, and built again. The only constant has been the tower, a silent companion through the ages. You can imagine why this recent destruction has stirred my sister so.
If you do nothing else, make that man pay for what he did here.
I need to know about praying for the support of the gods.
We will tell you what we can. Before you go, tell me this, old one. I'm curious. If you were to subdue your enemy, what would you do with him? What would give you peace?
I would take his place and power for myself.
What a sad little creature you are. You truly do belong with Theos. Go and bury yourself with him.
I'm gonna bury you, hooker.
All the same, think on this matter. Be assured in your course. In the end, it may mean all the difference, not just to his soul, but to yours. And be warned. Some questions have answers that can never be learned, and it is those that trouble the soul above all others. May you find an answer to yours.
Are you done talking now? I got a baby to sacrifice. Alright, main quest is updated. Clear waters taste sweet and refreshing. Now at this point, if you care about keeping grieving mother in your party at all, then you don't want to have her in your party while you do this, or she will leave for the entirety of the rest of the game. Alright, try not to accidentally steal. A dwarven man stands motionless near the roaring fire that lights the cavern. Your sacrifice feeds the land, supplicants, come forth. A gust of smoke curls around him, licking the charred flesh that bulges on his forearms. They suddenly flex. Estremor! The dwarf holds his fist in a tight grip. Your kin doesn't come here to share with the tribes. What do you want? What is this place? Blood Sands. The dwarf picks on a scarred forearm. His guttural sigh mingles with the crackling of wood and bones behind him. As I said, Estermorn, rarely visit our halls. The grandfathers call this place Blood Sands. We call it home. The Ethic Null have tended the land from which within this cave since before the arrival of the tribes to the Twin Elms. Garos crosses his arms. Be warned, Estermor. We bleed life to nurture it. Our sacrifices may strike you as savage, but the health of these lands depends on them, and it unseemly for guests to insult their host. Tell me about the sacrifice. Everything must die to return anew, Estermor. Through sacrificial rites, we offer supplicants the honor of giving their most precious gifts back to their brethren, back to the land. The dwarf lifts his fist thick and mottled by red scars. The blood gives us strength. Even the grandfathers have come to depend on the blood paint. They brim with power before battle, all thanks to the sacrifices of their kin. Tell me about Ethic Null. Our order has thrived for generations. Before we came to Twin Elms, all rights fed the lands of the Eastern Mountains. Now we share blood for Ir-Glanfath. Geralt opens his palm. Strikes of red skin run through them like flames. To everything that must end our sacrifices bring a new beginning. He looks up. We sustain what's to come. Remember, Estermor, you're a guest in these halls. Respect our ways and we'll tolerate your presence among us. I'll kick you in the nuts!
Hail, Estremor.
Welcome to the Blood Sands. It is rare that an Estremor sets foot in these caverns. Her sightless eyes fix on you as she tilts her head. What brings you here? I brought a child on behalf of Anamfath Simok. She takes the Orlin baby from you, shushing her gently. A precious little thing. She strokes the child's downy head. Her soul shall return fit to lead thousands. The child begins to burble and coo as Wardar bears her away, disappearing down the hall. Come on, man, let's get a cinematic of it. Wardar returns, a fresh trickle of blood visible on one wrist. She hands you a potion. Return that to Simok and instruct him to ingest it before his next attempt at copulation. This formula will strengthen him and his issue. Her lined face is grave. May this sacrifice be an asset to all the tribes. Something more? What do you do here besides kill little babies? I sell and maintain certain goods for the preservation of our order, and I perform some of our ritual sacrifices. How do they work? Like any worthwhile ritual, it's too complex to explain in detail. It involves clotting the supplicant's essence, binding it to their life's blood, and drawing it into a container or vessel. Do you got potions of baby blood? No, but we probably got tons of shit we can sell. We'll just get rid of the obvious for now. Oh. All right. Rocking with the money. All right, let's go back to Simok. The bravest sons and daughters fall not by swords of Estremon, but by the daggers of their brethren.
You gotta see this.
Hey, yo.
Oh, look at here.
Blood Testament, only usable by monks. That shit out of here. Oh shit! Archdruid Rushton.
As your blood flows, so shall your essence. Your life's energy shall feed the soil, and your soul's energy shall enrich the community. This is by your own choosing, supplicant?
Yes. The elf's voice is high but even. Yes! The dwarf grips a hatchet with both hands and raises it over his head. He throws his shoulders forward and swings the weapon into the elf's chesticle, connecting with a meaty thump. Blood gushes around the blade, and the sacrifice's screams rend the air. Aloth's lips curl with disgust. This is why I prefer the wand to the blade. Despite his early agreement, the elf thrashes atop the stone table, his torso arching while his arms and legs remain tight in place. Meanwhile, the dwarf spreads his arms wide and allows blood to splatter his robes. When the elf is finally silent and still, the dwarf pulls his hatchet from the body and wipes it on his hem. The dwarf wears crimson robes that are stained and streaked with dark patches. His face is smooth but lacking youthful elasticity. It's as if the lines and wrinkles had been formed and erased many times over. He watches you with eyes like two black pits as he wipes his hatchet on his robes. Hail, Estremor.
Few outsiders dare to venture this far into Blood Sands. You, however, are not easily intimidated. What brings you here?
Who are you?
I am the Archdruid of the Ethic Null. For centuries it has been my duty to guide our rituals and guard our knowledge. It is work that requires a certain resilience, but it is not without its benefits.
Tell me more about Ethicnol. We are a druidic order that has been in the Twin Elms since Egwithian times. Our founders came from the White March, seeking a place where we might practice our beliefs in peace, as it were. Unlike most of our grandfather brethren, we seek answers in the world around us rather than in the teachings of the gods. We believe that all life has power, and that this power can be siphoned and conducted. We are not, as some suggest, madmen and murderers. All of our rituals are conducted with willing participants and through methods that have been tested and refined over centuries. He nods, his black eyes shining. This allows us to create the war paint for which we are respected, if not loved. How are you different from the Ovets of the Golden Grove? A dry laugh rasped from his throat. Golden Grove. I remember when Arona came up with that name. He gives you a darkly gleeful look. Used to be as green as the rest of the forest, you know. We're more similar than they'd like to admit. We both believe in achieving power without the double-edged aid of the gods. But their fantasy is pure creation, something from nothing. They blind themselves to the fact that all life, from the mightiest dragon to the slimmest blade of grass, requires death. And the greatest ends require the greatest sacrifice. I agree! I just make sure I'm holding the knife. He gives you a cool smile. An inviolable habit while you can maintain it. Make sure that it doesn't catch up with you. What about this war paint? Can you give me some? Special ungent, binding raw essence to the wearer. It grants incredible advantages in combat and has made us indispensable to the tribes. Whatever they say about our practices, almost all of them have made use of our war paint at some time or another. A slow smile spreads across his face. Fascinating indeed how the most strident objections can be overcome by circumstance. I want to buy some! I am no merchant, Omua. Talk to Keeper Widow. She's around here somewhere. Tell me more about your sacrifices. A guttural laugh rumbles from his throat. We merely believe that in giving up something of value, the energy from that sacrifice can be diverted elsewhere. It is not so different from what folk practice all over the world. If you want to turn the soil, sail a ship, or move a cart, you must expend energy. But we're best known for our practice of kith sacrifice. This is the most potent form of sacrifice because it releases the most energy. We distill the essence of an entire soul into raw power that can strengthen the body, fortify the soul, and extend life. Alright, I didn't see that she had that war paint. Let me go get some. Bye-bye, baby. I'd say that's pretty evil, giving up a little innocent child for a sacrifice. Yeah, we'll be taking all those. Thank you. Hey, might as well start spending some money on the good shit. Hope everyone had a good 4th of July. Likely you were around the house and not around a whole shitload of people as I was. I actually had to work, which was perfectly fine with me considering the circumstances. The blood of sacrifice waters the soil of Iglan Fath.
Uh-huh. Sure.
Of course.
I didn't take anything.
I heard you. If you say so. Got it done.
Wasn't me.
Right here.
Well?
All kinds of little secrets down here. Don't jump into that fire. The heat emanating from this pool threatens to singe the flesh off of your face. Kind of looks like a little Baldur's Gate symbol there.
Did you hear that? About our awakenings being permanent?
Here's the potion you asked for. He reaches out with a hand gnarled by age and battle. He clutches the vial close to one faded blue eye. To my tribe's salvation. He drains the vial in one long gulp. When he looks back at you, his eyes are bright with purpose. And to your good fortune, traveler, may this be of use to you. I got thy clef. By the way, Luras asked me to kill you. The old Animafath laughs. I almost wish you spoke true. Luras doesn't have the ferocity to plot something like that. His expression grows sober. If he did, I would not lack a proper heir now. Whatever you say, but I killed him. Oh, yeah. What'd you do with my awesome... There it is. It's a large shield. Die clef. One-handed, 16 deflection, minus 8 accuracy. This impressively large shield boasts the relief of Devclef, an important Glenfathan landmark. Devclef was the site of a brutal battle between the Glenfathans and the Deerwoodens during the tumultuous period before the 10 Years' Treaties were signed. The crags and caves along the cliffs provided the Glenfathans with plentiful cover from which to stage their attacks against Deerwooden forces, allowing them to duck out of sight the moment a threat emerged. Given this natural advantage, the Glenfathans succeeded in driving the Deerwoodens from the region. Yeah, I just don't know. I got a soulbound Dragon Moss shield. which is pretty tits. It's pretty tits, man. Look at that bad boy. Yeah, you can't replace that. You crazy? Must be crazy. Major adventure. Grieving mother, go handle this.
Well?
Alright, let's see what else we can get done here. Radai, a Glanfathen from the prestigious tribes, wants to know what happened to his brother Fjorm, a renowned hunter, during the blood hunt that took him with another hunter, Arthur, into the forest of the North Weald. Arthur claims that Fjorm exiled himself in shame after failing to kill a giant Stelagier in their blood hunt. Radai believes that Arthwin, a member of the lower tribe, is lying for his own gain. In Stalwart, a violent scout was brought down by the town guard, but not before she was observed demanding information as to my whereabouts. Need to travel to Old Song first. Why not? Hela's Shrine. Old Song Pass. Noon Frost. Burial Isle. Gulliwen's Maw. It's a giant dragon gargoyle head thingy. Alright, let's go to Northweald. That's where we need to go for this Hunter Brother quest. Dunnard Scion leaves Stronghold. I didn't see him up here. Find the Deerwooden expedition by the Pilgrims camp in the Northweald. Search for clues to Fjorm's fate. We also have this quest. Winneth, the Deerwooden scout, has come to Twin Elms to help find her friends, who are on an expedition to recover lost artifacts. Though the group hasn't been directly confronted by Glanfathens yet, Winneth was on patrol and discovered that local sentries have already caught scent of her expedition. Winneth asked me to warn her mercenary companions about the impending danger while she attempts to thwart the scouting efforts of the pursuing Glanfathens. Alright, well, we got some wolfy wolves. Don't think they're going to put up too much of a fight. Tracks long and shallow head east. They're speckled with blood. Arrows crude and fletched with bright feathers protrude from the corpse. I found the ruins where Thwyneth expedition's camped. There are signs of battle everywhere. Tracks on the ground run directly east, probably made by the expedition while retreating from the battle. Huh?
As you wish.
The inscriptions on this altar, almost unreadable under a layer of thick moss, pay homage to Hylia. Hylia! You steal her shit.
And what does the flame reveal?
Do a little quick save. That's not so quick. Oh, look at these bears.
Of course. Well?
What the hell?
Gotta try something else.
Doing good. Get my ass handed to me already.
So much for you!
Rithul!
So much for you!
All right. Let's see what we got up here. More contributions to Lug Lug.
I'll see what I can find.
Torque of the Falcon Eye. +2 perception. Get the Get that shit out of here, man. Come on. Hello. It's Pagra. Yeah, we like that close proximity here. Mama.
Yes.
I got some awakened wood myself.
As you wish.
Off then. Where then?
Fooled you!
Lovely.
Got a corruptor druid still attacking us. Well, I guess we just got a bounty. I didn't even realize she was in here. Kicked her ass, though. We only have one more to do, because we have the head here. We'll definitely head back to the fortress and turn in that head and talk to these two visitors after we're done with this area here. Magic mushrooms!
Well?
If those Delamgon are right, you and I are stuck with our awakenings. Not quite the news I was hoping for.
At least one of you got some good news, right? Ismir?
Surely, you binter! Means I'm crimmed in this one's skull until he manages to get himself quelled. Please don't do that. It's bad enough knowing that I truly am stuck with her now.
I can't imagine having her in my head.
You remember Brackenbury Sanitarium?
And on the right side, I've got plenty of time to figure out how to deal with her.
Like it or not, she's part of you. She could be a source of strength if you learn to work with her.
It's strange. I've lived with her most of my life, and I've always seen her as an adversary. It should have occurred to me the day she stood up to my father. But there's something about being too close to a situation to see it clearly. It will be a relief to stop fighting her.
Even as he says it, something struggles within him. The muscles on his face twitch and his skin quivers. His eyes roll back in his skull, exposing slivers of white. Sweat beads and glistens on his forehead. After several seconds, he sighs and looks back at you. That wasn't as difficult as I expected. I think deep down I'd always hoped to find a solution elsewhere. When I was a child, I always thought my mother would come home with the mysterious cure, or that my father, without knowing it, could somehow send her away just as he'd called her forth. I can't pretend that I didn't spend years of my arcane training hoping that one of my instructors would have the answer, somewhere in his grimoire. When I joined the Leaden Key, I hoped and believed that with enough loyal service, I'd gain the ear of someone in the organization who could help me. Even when I met you, I realized your unique talents. I hoped that you might be able to reach into my soul that way. I've seen you do with many others. I've been looking for someone else to solve my problem, and now I've realized I have got to face it on my own.
You haven't been on your own. I got you through Brackenbury, remember?
I remember well. You've been a capable leader for this expedition, and an invaluable mentor to me. I won't forget what I've learned from you.
Better not.
That reminds me of something else the Delamgon said. About the gods not being real.
He says it quietly, as if afraid someone might overhear him.
Don't tell me you're getting your panties in a knot about something new.
Call me dramatic, but the existence, or lack of powerful beings controlling our fates after we die seems worth the worry, no? Don't you wonder at the state we'd be in if there were no power guiding us in this life and shepherding us to the next?
Then Isselmere would be just as happy accident and you'd have no one to blame for her.
Yes, that would take the fun out of it.
Anything else? So have you made peace with Isselmere? What's it like?
Relaxing, more so than I expected. As contentious as she is, I imagine that letting her in would merely unleash the torrent. But now that I'm not fighting with her, it seems she isn't fighting me. And you were right. I found much to learn from her.
Why did you want to take Bella Sage's notes?
Like I said, I didn't appreciate her prying.
So now you understand a little more about Isselmere, right?
No thanks to that animator. My spleen? Black bile? Come on.
Bella Sage's methods were flawed. But you still learned something, didn't you?
Only because you and I have the lick of good sense between us. But the average person, show them a shiny gadget in the hands of an expert and they'll believe anything.
I don't know. I think you'd be more pleasant without your spleen.
Oh, hilarious. You should have her take a look at you. I wonder what she'd like to remove then.
Probably my snake from my pants. Why was your mother gone so often?
She was invited to join a Hamnig with a landed Thane when I was very young. His estate was a 5-day ride from our home in the Sintlewood, so that was part of it. The real issue, however, was my father. Despite the initial agreement with the arrangement, father was never happy with it. He would hound and harangue my mother when she came home. He wanted to know whether she was intimate with the Thane, and no matter how many times she swore she wasn't, it was never enough. As you can imagine, that led to her coming home much less often, even though she still supported us financially.
What's a Hemneg?
Ceremonial marriage between folk and elf. Because the Adir mainland has historically been split between the two races, we have many institutions that are designed to normalize relations. Our monarchy is headed by folk, but an elven consort rules alongside the reigning Fairkonig or Merquin. This is the most prominent example of the Hemneg. In many cases, the Hemneg allows two households to pool resources. Among the aristocracy, Hemnegs consolidate power. Sometimes, as in my mother's case, a Hemneg is a means for a noble to add another administrator to his or her household. Consorts are received with almost the same level of respect as their noble counterparts, which can be extremely useful. Of course, ham and eggs are sometimes used to sanitize an extramarital affair. He shrugs. I don't know that that's really any better, but it seems to satisfy common notions of decency. And elf and folk unions are sterile, which no doubt eases some concerns.
Sounds like your father had a problem with his temper, kind of like me.
He had a problem with my mother's ham egg. Even though they agreed upon it long ago that the financial benefit would be considerable, that it was little different from his role as the Earl's steward, it ate at him. And so he drank and raged. When she was home, he raged at her, and when she wasn't, he raged at me. More than anything, he wanted me to become an arcane knight in the service of the Earl. I think he felt it would validate his chosen career and master. He was a firm man, as you saw, but in the end, I became a successful wizard due to no small part in his strictness.
Nonsense! You accomplished that on your own. And you would have been fine without him pushing you.
Are you so certain? I didn't know that I wanted from my life then. I surely wouldn't have been so focused without a little direction.
Can I talk to Islamir?
Well, I still prefer to speak through my own voice, rest assured that she's present even now.
When's she awaken?
My father was a strict man. He expected the best from his only child, and he didn't tolerate failure. His face becomes drawn. At times he could be rather adamant, particularly when he'd been drinking. His Samir manifested on one such occasion. To be honest, I don't remember the specifics, only that he was more careful with me after that.
You said you'd learned to hide her a long time ago.
My mother instructed me to keep her a secret after she had first emerged. She feared the knowledge of my awakening would render me an outcast. Even though Samir proved useful against my father, I trusted my mother's advice, and I have come to see the wisdom behind it. Merwald is an extreme example, but one that I can relate to more and more each year.
That's all!
And that's all for this video, folks. Welcome back to Pillars of Eternity, and stay tuned for more. It's time to knock this bitch out.